This is not an exaggeration. What I'm about to teach you is going to completely transform the way you take sales calls, enrollment calls, strategy calls, you name it. If you're on the phone with someone and you want to get a yes instead of a no, you absolutely need to understand the conversion timeline, and I'm going to break it all down for you in this video. So let me first tell you who this training is perfect for. If you sell courses, coaching, training, or services, and you get people on a phone call to attempt to turn them into a high-ticket paying client or customer, then this is absolutely for you. What you're looking at is the conversion timeline. This is my attempt at drawing a straight line. I've already tried to do this 10 times. This is the best version. We're going to stick with it. 0 at the bottom of the conversion timeline represents someone who has no idea who you are, no idea that you have the solution for them, and they're not anywhere close to making a buying decision. 10 over here is someone who has credit card in hand, they are waving it at you, they've got the funds and they want to become a client. So the goal is, of course, for us to get people from a 0 to a 10. And this is a process that happens with every single potential client that you work with. At some point in time, they never heard of you. And then over a series of events, training, sales funnels, content they've seen from you, referrals, there's lots of stepping stones that's going to lead someone to become a 10 and want to become a client. Now, before I break this down further, I want to explain the difference between this and potentially what you've heard from Eugene Schwartz in his great book, Breakthrough Advertising, where he talks about the 5 levels of market sophistication or 5 levels of market awareness. This is not that. The 5 levels of market awareness talks about removing you from the process. Just what's the level of sophistication in the market? Are they completely unaware that they have a problem? Now the next phase is they're aware of problem but not solution. The next phase is that they are problem and solution aware but not aware of you, and so on and so forth. This is not what that is. What this is that one element of do they know you yet and do they want to become a client for you? So we're playing within just that parameter. I hope that makes sense. So let's dive in. The game plan for us when we are getting people on a phone call is we want to be on the phone with them up here. We don't want to speak to someone on the phone until we've got them at perhaps a 6 or a 7, okay? That's where we want to get people. The issue lies in that most people are taking calls with people that are a 1, 2, or a 3. And you may not even realize that this is happening. You perhaps have just been preached that there's the golden script, that if you just get anyone on the phone and you read this script and you tailor it to your business, then you'll be able to convert them into a client. And so you're beating yourself up that you're speaking to so many people and getting no after no after no after no, and you're assuming that you're the problem, or you're assuming that the script is the problem. It's not as simple as that. It's not as simple as get someone on the phone and read them a script. It goes way deeper than that. There are levels to this. And if you speak to someone on the phone who's a number 2, then you now have a really, really hard job to convert them. Let's just think about this. If we're trying to get someone to sign up to our coaching and pay us some money, and they're down here at a 2, which would represent, and let's just put a bit of green there, that would represent that they've gotten to know you just a little bit. Maybe this is, as an example, maybe someone's referred you some business. Maybe someone's said to you, oh, hey, James, I've got a friend of mine that I think would be interested in the stuff that you've got going on. Shall I connect the two of you? And so you say, yeah, okay, yeah, connect us. And you have a 2-minute back and forth email conversation. And before you know it, you've ended up on the phone, okay? You've ended up on the phone with that person. So they're up at a 2 because they come by personal referral. So they've gone from a 0 to a 1 to a 2 because they're like, okay, well, this person comes recommended to me. You have come recommended to that prospect. So they don't know anything else about you. They don't really know how much value that you provide, but they've gotten to know you a little bit through that referral process. So now let's take a look at this. You now have a really difficult situation ahead of you, because what you've now got to overcome is the fact that we've got to get someone from a 2 to a 10 on that phone conversation. Do you realize how much work you are giving yourself there? Do you realize how much weight there is on this phone call, right? They're only at a 2. We've got to get them up 8 more stages to get them to a 10. That's a lot of work. That's really, really hard. So that's not what we want to do. What we want to do is be very careful that the marketing vehicles that we are using to get people on the phone is getting people to a 6, 7, or sometimes an 8 before we ever get on the phone with them. Hopefully you can see how that would make a lot of sense. If we could achieve this, if we could achieve someone going from a 0 all the way up to a 7 before you get them on the phone, then of course you already know where we're going with this. We've only got to get them from a 7 to a 10 to close the deal. They got on the phone with you already, in some ways, what we would call pre-sold, right? They've gone through material from you online and they're thinking, I like this person, I like the sound of what they've got going on, I've got an idea of what their offer is, I think I'm probably going to want it, but now I need to have a phone call with them, and then you only need to get them over the fence. They're already kind of on the fence, you just need to kind of give them a gentle nudge in the right direction. So the big question now becomes, how do we get people to a 6, a 7, or maybe even an 8 before we get them on the phone? That's a great question. I'm going to answer it for you right now. You need to be very, very conscious and aware of the type of sales funnel that you are using that is getting someone to that point where they book a call. And just like the conversion timeline, we want to stretch out how much time passes, how much content they go through from us, how much value we provide, and how much positioning they've had from us before they book a call. If your sales funnel is really short, meaning from the moment they first hear about you, 0, they only click on an ad and watch a 2-minute video from you, and before they know it, they can book a call with you, well, that's of course only going to get them to a 1 or a 2. They only just heard about you, and within 5 minutes, they're on your calendar. That's not what we want, okay? What we want is a sales funnel that stretches this process out, not so far that we get significant drop-off, but just enough that they're positioned correctly. The vehicle that I like is a webinar. I mean, I've made tens of millions of dollars with webinars. They are phenomenal. And we like to use what I call high ticket webinars. These are webinars where it's about a 30-minute presentation and they must watch the entire presentation before they can book a call. And picture a 30-minute presentation being here in the green, right? They have to watch the whole thing. So I'm saying and doing things in there that talks about, what I've got going on, my authority on the subject, my understanding of their situation. I'm describing my dream client avatar. And guess what? People are dropping off all the time, right? If they don't like what I'm saying, if they're not resonating with it, they can leave, no trouble. But only the people that get to the very end of the presentation are given the opportunity to book a call. So the people that I may have spoken to at a 2, a 3, or a 4, I may have had to use my manual time to speak with them and disqualify them, biggest waste of time. Whereas now we can leverage an automated webinar, and instead of getting on the phone with someone who's a 2, a 3, or a 4, some people are going to move up to a 6 or a 7 because they stick through the webinar. That's a good sign. But the people that came on the webinar at a 2 decided, nah, I'm not really into this, and they leave. I never had to speak to that 2. Then they get to a 3 or a 4 because they get halfway through the webinar. Nah, still don't like it. They leave halfway through, never had to speak to a 3 or a 4. So only people that get to the end do I then speak to. So a webinar presentation is the best vehicle that I've found to get people up here. There's something else that you can do to get someone to a 6, 7, or an 8, and that is to be very, very clear on who it is that you serve, what problems they have, and what problems you solve. We don't want to be casting a really wide net, okay? Again, this is affecting your sales calls because you're not just on the phone with a 2, you're on the phone with a 2 who's actually not even the right type of client for you. So they're starting to climb up the conversion timeline because they are liking the sound of you, but actually, whether they get to a 4, 5, or a 6 doesn't really matter because they're the wrong type of person. They're not the type of client that you work with. So we need to disqualify those people. So we need to be educating and providing value to the right people so that they move up, and at the same time disqualifying the wrong people so they never even get a chance to book a call with you. And there's something else that you can do to get people to a 7, and I don't have time to go into all the details right now on this video, but you need to have a disqualification process even at the point of booking a call. Meaning, if they get to the end of your webinar and they book a call, that doesn't mean they get to speak to you. You need to have further gatekeepers like an application form, disqualification questions, all sorts of things that happen here to make sure that if a 4 or a 5 has booked a call, that you still have the opportunity to disqualify them. If someone is a 7, but they're actually just not the right type of person, they still shouldn't get on the phone with you. This is how you could start to move in a direction of closing up to 80% of your enrollment calls. And that is not a made up number, okay? One of our clients, his name's Phil, we taught him this process and the scripts that we use and everything else. And he started converting at 80% and he's selling a $3,000 offer. So for every 10 people he speaks to, 8 of them were saying yes. Why? Because he got people further up the timeline and then of course delivered the phone call correctly. Now, one question that might be on your mind, will you ever get people to a 9 or a 10? Can you get people to a 9 or a 10? Well, the answer is yes, you can, but that shouldn't be the standard, okay? The standard should be down here at about a 7. Some people will get on the phone with you and they will naturally just be a 9 or a 10. Okay, some people will not get on a phone call or book something unless they've already decided I'm going to be spending some money. Those people are unicorns. They come around every so often. They're very enjoyable conversations. They often lead to an enrollment, but that shouldn't be the standard. If you are focusing too heavily on disqualifying people or too heavily on stretching out the sales process, then you can get people to a 9 or a 10, but you're going to have very few of them because you've disqualified the vast majority. So we've got to strike a balance. And getting people to a 7 is the balance we're looking for. And I have a free gift for you, by the way. It's called the Sales Call Objection Blocker. If you want to know how to take these calls correctly and make sure that when you have the right person on the phone, that there is no reason that they wouldn't enroll if they are the right type of client. This right here is what you need. We break down the 3 big reasons someone might say no to you on the phone and how to overcome those objections to turn a no into a yes. That's my free gift for you. There's a link in the description box you can go ahead and click on. Just give me your name and your email and tell me where to send that, and we'll get that straight out to you. So I hope you found this content helpful. If you did, do me a favor, hit the like button on this video. Also subscribe to our channel. We put out great content every single week, just like this one. And if you want to further your education on the sales process, I've got another video right up here that you should check out where I break down exactly what I say and do on the phone to make sure that I get that yes. So go ahead and check that out. Hope you find it helpful, and I'll see you in a future video.